All right, how's all my Corona friends doing? So, I want to do another video, just a short little devotional with y'all, kind of like I did Monday, and then kind of like Bethany and Abigail did Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have another one to do Wednesday. I've been kind of looking ahead at some things that I might teach on Wednesday night whenever we're able to get back together and meet together. So something I'm going to talk about real quick, we will talk in depth more about, hopefully in the next few weeks to come. But what we're going to look at is being able to spend time in prayer and the fact that Jesus spent time in prayer. So why don't we? I know that we've been kind of locked down a little bit the past 2 weeks. Now this week is technically your spring break, and then next week y'all will go back to school online. So during this final week before you kind of kick back off doing schoolwork, homework, whatever it may be, it's a great time to spend your week in prayer. I mean, most places are closed down, so there's not a lot we can do outside of our homes and yards anyways. So we're going to look at a few different verses about Jesus going to pray, and that's kind of what we're going to look at. We're going to look at Matthew 14:13. It says, when Jesus heard about it, he withdrew from there by boat to a remote place to be alone. So Jesus had heard about his friend dying, and Jesus immediately went away to pray. I think a lot of times when we're in intense moments, that's what hopefully we do is we go away, we pray, we call out to God. But we see here, even Jesus himself, in a rough moment, he went by himself. He went to pray. He put everything else aside. All right, we're going to flip to Mark 1:35. It says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he got up, went out, and made his way to a deserted place, and he was praying there. Jesus went to a deserted place again to pray. This time it was before he preached in Galilee. So you have Jesus again getting by himself and praying. Right now, a lot of us are spending time by ourselves or spending time with our families, where we have the ability to go to our bedrooms, go to a quiet place in our house, go sit outside and spend time with the Lord. That's exactly what Jesus did here before he went and prayed. You saw that when his friend passed away, he went away and prayed. Now before he preaches, he is going away to pray. All right. In Mark 14:32, you have Jesus praying in the garden. So Jesus at this time went and prayed. This is where he was talking to his Father, saying, Lord, if there's any other way that I can die, let it be. Even Jesus at this point in time was kind of worried about, I don't necessarily know if I want to be crucified on a cross. But then Jesus went on to say, God, if it's your will, then let it happen. Let your will be done in my life. So obviously, Jesus went to the cross. But during this, Jesus told Simon, when his disciples had come with him to pray, he's realized that Simon was asleep. And he said, Simon, wake up, stay awake, and pray. Make sure you pray so that you stay away from temptation. Guys, that's why we have got to be in prayer. That's why we need to make sure that we're praying and that we're talking to God and that we're in constant communication with God. We've got to make sure that we're staying away from any temptation in our life, from anything that can be causing us to stumble or stray away from God, whatever temptation that may be, whether that's things on social media, impure relationships, friendships, maybe language that you use, things that you look at. If you ever feel like, I'm struggling with this, I'm falling into this, or the minute that temptation comes, pray, stay awake, stay alert, make sure that you're praying. All right, and finally here we're going to look at Luke 6:12. Where you have, says, during those days, he went out to the mountain to pray and spent all night in prayer to God. So Jesus at this time went and prayed by himself, went to the mountain, prayed, and then he named off his disciples as well. So Jesus is spending time with his Father. He's spending time alone with his Father. He's currently showing us right now that it's not about what we do in front of people. It's not about how do we pray in front of our friends or in front of our youth group or in front of our parents or wherever it may be. It's what we do when we're by ourselves, when we're in silence, making sure that we're praying, making sure that we're continuing to talk to God, to build that relationship with God. And right now, guys, we have a perfect opportunity, especially for you students. The week before your online classes will get started and stuff, you have an entire week to take time out of your day and just spend it in prayer, spend it talking to God, and making sure that you're continuing to build that relationship with Him, and continuing to strengthen your relationship in prayer. So I want to encourage y'all today to get to praying. Write down your prayers. If you feel like that's what you need to do, you can write them down, and then later on you can go back and you can see where God has answered those prayers. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Stay healthy.